This is First Strike here on Sports Money. We're going to bring you guys UFC coverage for the upcoming Saturday card. It happens to be back in Las Vegas at the Baby Cage. Vegas 110 in the Apex. And MMA Jeff and I are going to bring you guys a fight breakdown for two battles. We're going to give you guys a parlay, a new show segment to parlay up some opportunities for some plus money on what we think are a couple favorites that seem to have a pretty easy path to victory. And again, join with MMA Jeff to talk to you guys about these battles and try to beat the books as far as the lines are concerned before the Saturday fights. And then you guys know the deal. We'll be live Saturday to talk to you guys about all things in the fight game. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to this card. I've seen a lot of negative talk again. The Twitter sphere, I'll tell you what, sometimes they're full of shit. And I think there's some great fights on this card. I'm looking forward to it. We got 13 lined up. As you had mentioned, we're back at the Apex. I think we're at the Apex for 2 weeks, and then we round out with 2 pay-per-view cards. So we've got 13 fights lined up at this point. Fingers crossed we keep them all together. And, we're kicking off 4 p.m. Eastern. Well, 3:45 Eastern for us, but the fights kick off at 4 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
You know, it's funny. I think that the haters on the fight cards don't recognize like the seasonality of the UFC, right? I mean, this point in time, they're going to try to purge the roster. They're going to try to help some people get themselves positioned to go fight for the straps because they just flooded the card with a bunch of new DWCS. I mean, look, they got 10 weeks of Dana White Contender Series, averaging 4 fighters a pop. That's 40 new fighters in the UFC. So to come out there and say that, you know, these battles are this or that, and the other thing is short-sighted. Fights are better than no fights. And on top of it, you have to recognize they're trying to purge and clean this roster up. We see it every week now. We're seeing 2 or 3 fighters are taken off the roster as we get rolling. But get rolling we did last week, Jeff. You are on a heck of a heater. Talk to us about your last Saturday performance.
I'll tell you what, last Saturday was a absolute heater. I had the Azmat was one of the nice ones I put out there. Azmat to win round 1 or round 2, and he got the KO pretty quick there. That was plus 240, so cashed that one. And of course, I cashed the first strike play with Wood. Questionable decision, but I'll tell you what, I look back at the stats afterwards, and you look at the ESPN body damage, and yeah, he looked like he got beat up, but he was throwing some shots of his own out there. But did hit the Wood money line at plus 125. When it looked like he was down and going to lose, I snagged him at plus 325 live as well. So plus 240 and a plus 325 out there, made for a nice payday.
Judges' scorecards are done round by round, not fight by fight. So look, Wood was able to come out there. He didn't have all the moments, but he had the biggest moments in each of those rounds. I still can't believe that. But you know what? Congratulations. Hats off to you. You can't have a big streak without getting some luck along the way, and we'll take it because it paid as well. I tailed you on that Wood spot. I took some of those live lines. I was with you. I had Azmat KO. I got a plus 200 there. We rolled the ladder on Ludaviat Klein. Biggest spot we had on the significant strikes was plus 200, but we cashed, I think, 5 or 6 spots along the way out there. Man, I wish that main event didn't get the old double eye poke. Aspinall, is he a quitter? Seems to be the big conversation floating around the UFC, but I was all Cyril gone in that thing, and I was excited early. It was like, man, this guy's busted up and bleeding everywhere. But in any event, Jeff, we're back at it. I'm going to reference Tommy Aspinall's camp here when we talk about these fights, but we're going to pop off. You're going to give us Rowe versus Coe. Talk to us about your path to victory.
I'm here to give you a best bet and first look at UFC Vegas 110. We got Coe versus Rowe. I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty early and wild prelim battle. We've got both fighters in their 30s, welterweight division. Rowe's 5 inches taller with a significantly huge reach advantage at 9.5 inches. He's 11-5 as a pro. Just an average 4-3 in the UFC. I mentioned it, before on some of these shows. They get into the UFC division and they kind of middle themselves out. Rowe's, again, a solid fighter. He comes into this one with a 3rd round KO win over Lusa, which he was actually down in the first 2 rounds. He ended up coming back and he knew he needed the finish there, and he came out and did it. Lusa gassed a little bit, and he stepped up and got the victory. He's a jiu-jitsu fighter who's comfortable to fight off his back. When he's on the feet, he's got power. He does like to keep his opponents at length and range, using his length, keep them at range. Rowe does have good cardio, as I had mentioned. I'm excited to see how he's going to end up putting his game plan together, and if he can actually execute the game plan against a slightly younger fighter at 32 years old, I believe Coe is. He's again bit younger, bit shorter, and as I mentioned, he's got the huge reach disadvantage here, 9.5 inches. That's something that's impressive for this division. He's 12-2 as a pro on a 5-fight win streak. Comes in off a UNAM decision in the Dana White Contender Series to get the contract over Cavalcante, who was undefeated at the time, which I thought was pretty impressive. Now, to get a contract off a UNAM decision in the Dana White Contender Series, you got to do something pretty impressive. Again, UNAM decision. The guy came in as a plus 250 dog, I believe it was, and did enough as a dog, huge dog, to earn Dana White's confidence, I guess, to get the UFC contract. Now, Ko comes into the UFC, and what's he do? He gets another solid performance, and he gets another unanimous decision victory in his debut. He's got 6 KO victories in his career, in his pro career, I should say, not in his UFC. He's only had 1 fight, but he has his only 2 losses came from KO as well. So he's a powerful fighter. He does lack a little bit of speed. He's willing and able to shoot for takedowns. He's not the best ground fighter, though, so you typically see him standing on his feet. I think the last fight he had 4 or 5 takedowns, I believe it was. So he can shoot and get those takedowns if need be. Ko would rather keep it on the feet and shoot wildly, trying to throw some Hail Marys and potentially looking for a KO out there, a KO for Ko. Well, I'll tell you, though, what I do like about this fight is both guys should be trying to keep it on the feet. They both like to show the power. We should be seeing a stand-up, banging show. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be at the center of the ring, but I do think we're going to keep this one on the feet. Both fighters have the power. Both fighters have cardio, and both fighters are going to look for a win here to try to advance their careers. However this fight does go, I think it ends without seeing the judges' scorecards. I'm going back to the well. 6-0, looking for 7 on first strike here. I'm going to go with the fight does not go the distance at minus 105. Good luck, everybody, and hope you catch us Saturday live. Mike is going to bring us to the Delija Acosta fight. I'm excited about that. Mike, how are you getting us paid in this one?
UFC Vegas 110 brings you a battle in heavyweights between Acosta and Delija. Waldo Cortez Acosta comes into this one. We've had some wild and wonky line movement right off the gate. We talk about fighters in their 30s, and we've got ourselves another kind of middle-aged heavyweight battle between these boys. On paper, it matches up fairly evenly across the board. You know, we look at a couple of the way these guys came to be and kind of their fighting contracts, and you know, Acosta ranked number 6. You could argue this guy, despite his decision propensity, was on his way to be maybe the gatekeeper battle for a belt, if not a shot to get the heavyweight title. And he goes out there and he takes a tough loss against Pavlovich. You know, when it comes down to it, he does want to stand and bang, and, you know, he's willing to go into the deep end. And I believe in this case here, this is a busy dude. This is an athletic guy, and he's not afraid to be a striker when it comes down to it. On the other side of things with Delija, this is one of those rare entities, unlike Patchy Mix, that comes in from the PFL, finds a way to go out there and win. He gets a rematch against Tybura, and he gets the W. And you got to respect that, you know, making your UFC debut in this position. Problem is he can get overly aggressive and try to shoot those takedowns, which does shoot those KOs, which does, in my opinion, open up the opportunity for some counters. The problem I have with Delija in this spot is 2 things. One, he's an Aspinall teammate. So we saw what happens. Those boys are not afraid to quit when it comes down to it. On the other side of it, though, you know, in all fairness, Acosta's a big dude. He's an athletic guy. He's transitioning into the UFC. So you've got a guy that certainly has cardio. He's certainly capable. He's a big boy, man. He comes into this thing with like 25 pounds of weight advantage, which I think works to his advantage, because now you don't want to necessarily go into the ring and get popped a couple of times in the heavyweights. But we've talked about this on plenty of live streams. What happens in these heavyweight battles is you get these guys that kind of start to go to the ground when you have that significant weight advantage. I don't want to say you're laying and praying, but it does make it incredibly difficult for the other guy to get up in Delija. And I think that's exactly what we see here. You know, maybe a couple of wobbly shots on Waldo. I like him as a dog, but the fact that this line's flip-flopping does give me some pause. The way I was looking to play this thing is taking a shot and saying we've seen some boring heavyweight spots, because ultimately they're big boys and they gas out. I could see this playing out this way. Waldo comes out, maybe throws a couple shots early, tries a couple takedowns. Delija comes out there, matches it, But look at his takedown defense. He's got 0% takedown defense, does shoot a ton of significant strikes, and you have to respect that. But if you're Waldo and you get wobbled, you take this guy to the mat and you just lay on him and try to finish it out. And while that may or may not be enough to get the job done for the judges' scorecards, we're in the baby cage. And that means there is going to be a little bit more combat. Things are a little tighter, and it does give these big boys a little less opportunity to dance around the outside. I opted to play this fight as it goes the distance. Not surprised to see Acosta come out there and find a way to win the fight, but plus 112 feels like great money. This line is coming down, and that's the purpose of the show, is to try to give you guys these plus money spots before fight night so you can get the most CLV in the opportunity. Give me Acosta. Fight goes the distance. We'll see the judges' scorecards. Wouldn't be surprised to see Acosta win this thing by card, but I like a plus 112 price tag. And good luck to everybody with the UFC fighting. Make sure you do join us on Saturday for the live show. We'll pop off at 3:45. Let's take a new segment to the parlay. MMA Jeff and I have a nice little plus money spot to get you guys paid. And we're at the new segment of the show. It's the UFC parlay time. MMA Jeff and I both selected a fighter we're going to put together here and try to get you guys some plus money to get you paid. MMA Jeff, give us leg number one.
Yeah, I was looking at the Dumont Vieira fight. Dumont's on a 5-fight win streak. With more precision striking, she's a better grappler. Although I don't think we see a big banger in this one, I do think she's going to pull out the victory. There is a need for the winner in this one to potentially get a shot at the championship belt. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to roll with Dumont in this one. Mike, what are you rolling with?
Nascimento Durden, Jeff. That's the play I want to get involved with here. I'm going to take Nascimento. Now, this is a late fight replacement for Cody Durden, a.k.a. Tyler Durden. And that guy's done nothing but lose. I mean, you got to wonder when you look back at it, how'd you beat Matt Schnell? Because he's taken losses to Josh Van. He got busted up. Both these guys certainly face some issues. But I got to look at the healthier fighter, the better fighter here, which I believe is Nascimento, the more active guy across the UFC spectrum here. And I'll take Nascimento. I'm going to look for some props game day that involving the sub when they open these lines up for us here. And I think Nascimento probably does it early on this Cody Durden joker. But look, Jeff, Dumont Nascimento is a plus 123 parlay between you and I. And I think that's a really great way to get some plus money on who should just go out there and dominate their fighters. I think they're the better fighters. You talked about it. And I concur. So plus 123, Jeff. Let's get paid. Tell everyone what's going on. Tell them where they can find you.
You can find me over at X and Winnable MMA Jeff 19. Appreciate you guys watching, and make sure you tune in Saturday to the live show.
Absolutely going to be a banger on Saturday. We have a nice little 4 p.m. start. So we'll get together early. The best part about Saturdays, UFC's our main course, but we're going to talk college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB. We'll talk about all things in the sports landscape here. And I hope you guys do join us on Saturday. Leave us a message in the comments with your favorite fighter of the night there. And make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. You don't want to miss the content as we drop it. This channel continues to grow, and it's because of you guys and your support. So thank you for watching. Smash the thumbs up button, and we'll be sure to see you guys live on Saturday, UFC Vegas 110. Have a great night, everybody. Good luck with your UFC card. Thank you, MMA Jeff, and we'll see you guys soon.